Greetings everyone, welcome to Chess Advanced, and this game was played in the Sinquefield Cup. And with the white pieces, we have the current reigning world champion, we have Gukesh, and with the black pieces, we have Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. I mean, a very strong grandmaster, very strong French grandmaster, and a really humble person in general. I mean, you'll see him after the game. If he wins, loses, doesn't matter. He's always very nice to his opponents. He's always very nice to Gukesh as well. Doesn't matter if he's in a winning position, he's in a losing position, and that shows absolute sportsmanship, and he is that. And yeah, really gonna enjoy this game. This game is absolutely amazing. A lot of tactics, a lot of gameplay, a lot of end game, a lot of middle game. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Gukesh starts with d4. We have knight to f6, knight to f3, d5, and just c4, c5, and a very nice structure right from the opening. But most likely these kind of structure results in drawish endgames. But here after d captures e6, bishop to e3, and now just knight to c6. And this game has not actually been played that much. There's only 3 games in the database, and yeah, that's that's absolutely crazy. So it might feel like this is some sort of preparation by Gukesh, and it could be. We have knight to c3, d captures, queen captures, and knight captures, rook to d1, and knight to d5. Just getting that nice knight knight nicely centralized, and you could also just ruin the pawn structure. So you have to be careful. So now just Gukesh goes for knight captures, e captures, rook captures, and now just bishop to e6, attacking the bishop, developing with the tempo, rook to d1, rook to c8, and now we have bishop to d4. So the game is, I mean, very much on. Most likely, black is trying as much as hard as possible to be able to defend this pawn, and we've seen that most likely it doesn't work. But persistence is definitely something here that is uncanny. But here in this position, you can see that this bishop is doing the same. So maybe there's actually a way where both can actually keep the pawn, and a game still goes on. But let's see what happens here. Maxime, just f6 by Maxime, because you have to understand this bishop is on a very beautiful diagonal, and then somewhere along the line, when you're developing the bishop, you don't and capturing this pawn, you don't want to give up the g7 pawn, so you have to be a little careful. e4 was played by Gukesh, and b captures, just grabbing that pawn. Bishop captures and rook captures, and now you have to understand there's a little bit of a pawn structure difference here, because now that extra pawn is on the e file, and maybe there could be some issues with the endgame. So if black is better, if white is better, it's just too early to tell. But the players will definitely tell us. Hey, knight to d4 was played, but now just bishop back to d7, king to d2, knight to f7, king to e3, and just king to e7. This is a very nice king walk by Gukesh, just trying to get the king nicely centralized. It will always help. It always helps in endgame. And f3, rook h to c8, bishop to e2, and h5. h5 is a very nice move by Maxime. Maxime is definitely trying to push all the way, maybe have some ideas of g5 as well. And you have to play h4 here. H4 by Gukesh, knight to d6, and rook h to e1. So getting this rook very nicely aligned with the e file, and here you're trying to push that pawn all the way, but you don't want to lose the pass pawn. So maybe what you want to do is you want to invoke b3, so you can create a pass pawn in the future. But again, king is just so close to that pass pawn that even if you're even if you get to push the pass pawn, it's just always going to be very weak, and you don't have all those pieces to defend the pass pawn or to attack maybe in this position, so that you can get the pieces forward. But it's just very difficult to maybe just push for something in this position. But again, still the pieces are on the, and here is where it gets absolutely interesting, because with all these ideas you have to be very much careful. But here rook to a5 was played, and now there that pawn is under attack, and here rook to a1, just trying to defend that pawn. But now comes a very beautiful Maxime move in this position. I mean, he loves to play these kinds of moves, because it wreaks havoc, these kinds of moves, and that is f5. And now how do you defend in this position? There are a lot of moves that can be played in this position, just a calming moves. Like it's a very rich position. But one of the moves that I was calculating at this, I was watching the game, and I was calculating bishop to f1, and just because opening up this very fine line. And it's not a bad move, but it's not the best move in this position, because here after rook to e5, it just stops rook to e5. Basically the idea of this move is just it stops, because here after king to f4, now your rook is under attack, so you have to defend it. King to f6, you just get the other rook into the game. And here after f captures, you play knight to c2, and this knight to c2 is just a very amazing move, because it opens so many new horizons in the position. Because you have to understand here, knight is under attack, then bishop is under attack, so either you defend it from this rook, or you defend it from this rook, or you get the king into the game. The problem with getting the king into the game is that maybe it's just a bit too constricted. I mean, just think about this. This is just does not look good, and then the knight can jump back, and maybe you can just get a perpetual, or you could also go for this rook to c6. Rook to c6 is actually just gives you an advantage right from the opening, right from the start, because I think you'll be able to see this as well. Knight to b4. You cannot go here, you have to go here. Once you go here, this is a fork, so the position would be absolutely crumbling, so you have to be careful. Or you could also go this rook back to e6, but then again this rook knight jumps in and most likely would have ended in a perpetual. But here after f5 we have b3, and b3 is a very very dynamic move, because it asks Maxime the question: are you going to push this forward and allow it to be weak, or are you going to trade it? Then after trading the rooks and then going for it, then you just deal with this f5 something. So now ball's in Maxime's court, and he has to decide what to do. So he goes for rook to e5, and this is what I was saying. This bishop is just in the way, and either you play this, either you play this. This seemed like a much more better move to Gukesh, because after king to f4, king to f6, going by that, but just a little bit in a different move order, he played bishop to d1. But the issue is this just looks unnatural, because it disconnects the rook. So that's why I was not inclined to go for it myself. But I mean, he's the world champion. Obviously, he's calculated it amazingly. But rook c to e8 now, and now you have to not worry about the king moving away, and bishop to c2, and he just f captures. And again, the position is so rich. Just look at the structure, it's absolutely crazy. And the thing is that you could capture with the bishop here as well, and the position would still be a draw. But here f captures was played, but now f captures allows this move that Maxime can actually go for, which is this g5 check. And this g5 check is a little bit of an issue, because here once you go for this h captures, rook captures, now you have to understand the position is, there are some moves in the position that would be very very amazing for Maxime here. Bishop to d1 was played by Gukesh, just keeping everything intact, just targeting this. If you capture, then I capture that, and we go into a equalish endgame. But here Maxime plays a very beautiful move. He goes for knight to f5, and idea being that your pawn is pinned. If you capture, then there is a very forcing sequence. You have to understand, you cannot capture this. If you capture this, then if you capture this, then there is this amazing move. And unfortunately, I have to tell you that Gukesh did capture it. He did not see it, but now there is just this amazing thing that here rook caps on f5, and obviously you cannot take, because you'll be down a complete rook. So king to g3. But it's such an insane thing, that such an insane double blindness in this position, that he captured it so like effortlessly in like 30 seconds, and Maxime captured it in 30 seconds. Both did not calculate, and there was no reaction from both of the opponents. So both thought that there was nothing in the position, that position is leading to a draw, and they did not calculate or even thought about that there was a move in this position. Because there is, you could go for this rook to g8 in this position, and Maxime is absolutely winning, because here after king to h2 you play rook to f2, bishop to c3. And you have, I think Maxime missed this idea, because now you have c3, and that's winning, because here after e5 check you have to go back. If you go any other way, you try to go to front, and this comes in, your position is still a draw. So king to e7, but rook a to c1, and after c2, just defending everything, rook to e2. If you play rook to e2 trying to trade rooks, there's a very beautiful tactic here. Rook g captures, and now after bishop captures, rook captures is completely down, rook completely losing. But here after rook to instead of this rook to e2, you could go for rook to f1 trying to trade. But after rook captures and bishop to f5, just trying to go for that. There is a very nice bishop caps on b7, opening up an attack towards the bishop, also grabbing a pawn. But here after king to e6, defending everything, just rook to e1, you have to just defend the back ranks, but slowly captures, and king gets in. It's a very easy position for black to win, and there is no way Maxime is losing this. So here after knight to f5, the move that you had to find was e5 check, and this was the very crucial idea, because here after king to g6 you play knight caps on f5, and after rook captures, now once you go back, you have to understand you don't have this check, and that's the only reason why you are getting saved in this position. But here after knight caps on f5, can you play bishop captures? Well, the thing is, yes, you can play bishop captures, because here after b captures, rook captures. Yes, I mean, after everything gets traded off, like bishop captures, king captures, and you might feel like I'm up a pawn, it's an outside pass pawn, I might just be able to win this game. It's still a draw. The idea being that rook to f2, and you have to go back, and now somewhere along the line I'm going to be able to capture this pawn, and once I do, there is no way that you're surviving. And yeah, I mean, not surviving in the sense that the game ends in a draw basically. So everything would have been fine. But here after knight captures on f5, rook captures, Gukesh missed it, and king to g3. Maxime missed it. Maxime went for c captures, and that is just an insane miss by Maxime. I mean, he would go back and he would be thinking like, I should have gone for the other line, because then after a captures, because if you, I mean, just see rook to g8 check, you just throw in a check for no reason, it still would have worked, and I think that's absolutely crazy because Maxime doesn't miss all of these things. Bishop to f3, and we have rook to b5, rook to e3, rook e to e5, and bishop to e2. I mean, this is just a basic draw, but I'm just gonna end the game because, just for the sake of it. Rook to b4, and now just rook to f1 check, king to e7, bishop to c4, bishop to e6, and just bishop captures, king captures, rook to king to h4, rook b captures, rook captures, and now just going for king captures, rook to e3, and now just rook to b1, and this is just basically a draw. And all you have to do is just get behind the pass pawn, and that would be it. You could also throw in a check here, but it just a4 was played after captures. Captures just, get behind the pass pawn, and it's a very, very easy way to go for this. And both players after perpetual agreed to a draw, but I don't think this this would be a result where Maxime would go back home and see this and check this lines with the engine, and I think he would not be happy with the scenario that he got. But I think the players at the even at the table after the game, when they were having a conversation, I don't think anyone even realized that this move even existed in the position. But yeah, definitely a great, insane double sign of double blindness in this game, and that's absolutely crazy. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, and definitely from the Sinquefield Cup. We have the Grand Swiss coming in, and we are having a tournament in October as well with all of those it's like top 4 top 5 or top 6 players are playing that, and that's absolutely going to be amazing as well. So I'll be covering that as well. So do stay tuned, do stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching.